Hi everyone, this is Matt Ingram with a review of the results from the second exam for RPOS 316. Again, using some of the same tools that we started learning about at the beginning of the course, here are some descriptive statistics of the second exam. The mean, the arithmetic average of all scores, was a low C, 71.4. The median, that score that divides the entire distribution in half, is 84, so exactly, we could call that a strong B. Exactly half of the class scored above a strong B, exactly half of the class scored below a strong B. And because of the difference between the mean and the median, we could say that there is a substantial or meaningful skew, specifically a negative skew to the distribution in the scores on the exam. The mean here, 71.4, is much lower than the median. In terms of the spread or the range or dispersion of the scores, the maximum score was 91.5 or 366 out of 400. This maximum score will set the curve, so all of these scores that we've been looking at so far have not been adjusted, but 366 will become the maximum against which all other scores will be adjusted. The lowest score on the exam, excluding 1-0 from a missed exam, is 61.5. Here's a histogram of the scores. Again, on the far left you see essentially the 1-0 for the missed exam, and on the far left you see that most of the class scored between a B- and an A. There were a few scores in the C and D range, but most of the class scored either a B or an A. Overall, I would say the scores were better on exam 2 than on exam 1, in part, I suppose, because of some of the questions you've seen before. And then here is a plot of the homework averages. Again, these are all homework discussions and homework assignments grouped together, plotted against the exam 2 score. And here we start to see perhaps what we could call a nicer or a closer fit between homework scores and exam scores. The general trend, you might say, flows from the lower left of the graph to the upper right of the graph. So overall, here are a couple of brief comments. Again, please remember that all of the exams and all of the homeworks will be adjusted to or curved. For exam 1, the maximum was 356 instead of 370. So if you have your raw score, you can divide it by 356 instead of 370. For exam 2, the maximum will be 366 instead of 400. So if you know your raw score, just divide that by 366. Also, all homework assignments from the R workbook, not the discussions, but just the homework assignments from the R workbook, will be curved. I believe thus far the maximum total score, average score thus far for homework scores is around a 90. So the student that is doing the best in the class on the homework scores on the R companion has about 90% of all available points. So I imagine that'll change between now and the end of the semester, but that's probably what you can anticipate for the maximum homework scores for the total term, for the full term. And just a few reminders to please keep up with the work in a timely manner. Though you may be able to leave work until the very end of the week, perhaps especially the discussions or the homeworks, it's really not in your interest to do so. Even if you can, it can take its toll mentally, psychologically, emotionally if you're faced with having to do all of the discussions and all of the homeworks on Friday evening or perhaps even Saturday morning. And then also another reminder, I've mentioned this on Blackboard or via email, sometimes in private emails with a few, but I just wanted to remind everyone that it's also in your interest to turn in homework assignments even if they are late. I deduct 5% for each day late for each day a homework assignment is late, but I stop deducting points after 10 days or 50%. So you can still get at least half of the points available on any given homework assignments. That is much better than a 0 when you start to tally your total average or the percent of points that you obtained, especially when that percentage is curved. So that's it for exam 2. I hope you're having a good weekend, and we'll look forward to the final week of this 4-week term next week.